Yet again, out on the road ahead of the American election, a couple of weeks to go, and she is right in the heart of a very swingy bit of a very swingy state. I'm not going to pretend to pronounce Sheboygan, is it? Where are you today?
Sheboygan.
Sheboygan, all right.
I'm not going to do my Wisconsin accent because I think I'll offend everyone, but yeah, Sheboygan.
Okay.
It's called the Miami of Wisconsin because we're right on the lake.
So give me the idea about Wisconsin, and this is a place that went Obama, Trump, Biden. It has bounced around a bit. What is the sense of who you've been meeting in and around the streets, or the data that you've been trying to follow about that part of the blue wall?
Look, they lost Wisconsin for Hillary Clinton because she didn't bother to come and she took it for granted, and no one's ever going to take Wisconsin for granted again. They're not taking it for granted this time, but we were here yesterday. We've only been here for a day, but we were out talking to voters. And it's the same thing we've been getting in the other swing states where people just aren't happy with the choices that they have this election. So when we're being told all this analysis around undecided voters, what I get the sense of when you actually talk to people face to face, because I know going out and just doing a bunch of interviews in a row, it's not as scientific as a poll, but what you do get is that sense of what people are really thinking. You can read the body language, you can read the pauses. People have made up their mind. They're not happy with it, and they're leaving it to the last minute because they really just don't like the idea of what they're doing. And so this is where I get the sense that things are heading. And also that we've seen just a lot of people who should be traditionally very supportive of Kamala Harris, not enthusiastic about it. So we met a young woman of colour yesterday who was not going to vote at all because she hated Trump. She doesn't think Kamala Harris is a genuine person, and so she was going to write herself in. We hear that a lot, and the polls show how tight it is. I think that is absolutely going to be true. This is going to come down to the wire.
I would also imagine that the phenomena that people need to understand, and anyone who lives in a marginal seat in Australia would know, oh yeah, they turn up a lot. No. Every ad, every TV show, every radio station, and every time you go online, they must be like up to the end of it, just going, please shut up. Like, there's nowhere you're not trying to win me over. And that has sort of its own effect, doesn't it?
It does, and often in a good way. People in swing states, we find, are often very well across the policies because they know that they have an important vote. They know that they're going to be influential in this election, so they do take it seriously. And I think especially when we talk about Americans having non-compulsory voting, there's often this assumption that, oh, they don't take it seriously because sometimes they sit it out. Most often they will do that in an intellectual way. They'll say, I don't like the options, I'm therefore exercising my right to not pick one because I have looked at these options and I do not like them. Of course, there is a segment of the population that just says, like, I'm not into politics, don't care. But in swing states, you don't really get the chance to do that. You have people knocking on your doors, every billboard, you're right, every ad break, it is ad nauseum. And it's one of the reasons they have good local news markets, is because these local news outlets get all this money for campaign funding. So it's a kind of cyclical thing for them.
I was going to say, they've got the best and the newest of gear because they make hundreds of millions of dollars out of all the ads that they just run every 2 and 4 years. All right, last one here and again. I'm not going to get into the game of who's winning and who's up and who you... Again, I explained why anyone following data has no idea which way it's actually pointing right now. But I did want to ask you about this, which is closing arguments. Joy is gone, Vibes is gone, it's back to, the female version of Dark Brandon, he's the worst of all time. And Trump, who literally is facing presidency or jail, seems to have a wider smile than Joaquin Phoenix did in either of the Joker movies.
And I heard what you were saying before about people criticising Trump for having a stunt at McDonald's. Of course it was a stunt. You think that they'd send a guy in who's had 2 assassination attempts to a normal McDonald's to work the drive-thru?
Correct.
What are we talking about? But no, I think there is just kind of this trauma from 2016, and I think there is a sense of people thinking, geez, there's no way Trump's got this. But we're not going to get too excited now because, well, what if we're wrong? Because that was really traumatic last time. But there is just a total sense that Kamala Harris is going on the attack. This is no more just the campaign of joy. And that Donald Trump is looking very relaxed and kind of tired and a little bored of the campaign in some events. I mean, when he had that town hall and listened to music for half an hour, I think that was just kind of like, I've been doing this forever, I've got this. And he has been doing it so much longer than Kamala Harris. She only came in a couple of months ago to this campaign. So I think that's all playing into just the kind of optics of the last few weeks.
Well, as I just said, right, like if you're a betting person, one person, the future is presidency or prison. They look, they look more no drama Obama than Obama. Remember, Obama's running around telling black men, you must vote, all the rest. Annelise, let's do it longer next week and then obviously in person when we are in the United States. All the best, mate. Annelise Nielsen
Thanks,
there
Paul.
in the United States. She is rock and roll.